Years ago, when I went to see the movie Forrest Gump with a few of my friends, they commented that it was almost impossible in real life, for a guy like Forrest Gump to meet so many people who later became famous, where he had a small influence in their life. And I said, no, it wasn't unrealistic at all, because I had the same experience as in the movie Forrest Gump. I met loads and loads of really famous people, including one president of the United States, movie stars, musicians. I met all kinds of people before they were famous. And of course, I met a lot of other people too who never became headline makers, but they were equally interesting. And I told my pals about these people, and they said, "Boy, you ought to write a book about all these famous people that you met." And I said, "Well, maybe I will." And so I sat down and wrote a first chapter about a very unlikely guy whose picture you have probably seen in our thumbnail. It's that Indian. And talk about an unlikely guy to become rich and famous. Well, he would take the cake, because this fella, well, I must have met him when I was about 7 years old. Okay, so this story that I wrote, the first story about important people that I met, was about a very unlikely fella. He was born to an Indian tribe in the USA that was massacred when he was a young kid. And this young Indian, who spoke no English, he spoke only the local Indian language, how do you word, migrated, he found his way into a Chinatown, where he became a kind of like a Chinese herb doctor's apprentice. So he learned Chinese, and he learned essentially how to be a pharmacist. And in the course of this, he became a gay guy. I guess his mentor was gay. Well, I'm going to cut to the chase. So this particular guy became, many years later, a French aristocrat. And so he must have been born around 1880, I guess, because I met him when he was around 60 years old, when he lived with 3 other gay guys, and they called themselves the Four Queens. And I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I used to hang out with the Four Queens. I didn't engage in any of their sexual activities, so don't worry about that. But the Four Queens, each one of them had a great story about their career in the world, but the one I'm going to concentrate on right now is the Indian. I'm not going to name him, but this particular fella, he, among other things, joined the Buffalo Bill Wild West show, and he toured the entire world with the Wild West show. He originated what later became action figures. He had little dolls with moving parts of Indians and cowboys, and he became pals with that famous girl who was a good shot. What was her name? You don't know. Well, it'll come to me. In any event, this fellow was, because he was gay, I guess, came to the attention of a very famous sculptor, an artist, and he became the model for the Indian on the Buffalo nickel. And that is in our thumbnail, which I'll repeat right here for a few seconds. Okay. But in addition to that, He was the model for probably the most famous statue that I think many copies in the USA, but one of them is in front of the Art Institute of Chicago. And the statue is called The End of the Trail. It's about a dejected Indian on a horse with his spear dipped, and he's ready to call it a day, I guess you say. But here's the story of our free gift. I never finished the story of my life, but I did finish one chapter which everybody thought was pretty good, and they encouraged me to write other chapters about famous people I knew. But his complete story is a little bit complicated and convoluted, but it makes a great short story. It takes you about 20 minutes to read it. And what I want to say is you can get that story from me as a free gift. Now I know free gift is redundant because it's either free or it's a gift, and they're both no cost. But all you have to do is send me an email, and by return mail I will send you this short story about an American Indian. I don't think his name is very famous. You've never heard of the guy, but you've certainly seen his face, and you've probably seen a reproduction of this statue, which is there's some other photographs in my short story. So send your request. Just say send American Indian story or Indian story or gay Indian or anything remotely like that in the subject matter, and send it to ready from.grandpa@gmail.com. I'll repeat that. from.grandpa, GRANDPA @gmail.com, and I'll send you that short story free gift. And that's it for today, and I'm going to have another video a few minutes from now.